Brought to you by VFTV.
But yes, welcome to the stream, everyone. Episode 212 this week in Caps Goals right now. Snap, Jose, Leon, and Pierre, joined by a very special guest. Everyone, welcome to Todd Father, Todd Radom. Hope you guys enjoy this episode. Pierre, take it away.
All right, so first thing, we're going to get all the particulars out of the way, and then we're going to talk to Todd for a little bit. So first, L Bronx Bomb F, welcome to the Topper Store family. My son recommends Stouffer's Meat Lovers Lasagna. So if that will help you purchase more hats, then I hope that does. You did call me old as shit last episode, though. He did, remember? Mm-hmm. He said we were ancient. He said we're ancient. That's why we don't like Mac Miller.
Yeah.
Is that Selena Gomez?
Yes.
Yes.
They do not like the fact that we did not like Mac Miller.
I'm not a Mac Miller fan. That's it. I'm just not a Mac Miller fan. I mean, it's just the way, I don't know. It's just I'm not a Mac Miller fan. All right, so let's get through some Toppers particulars tonight, guys. First, I'm going to show you what's dropping this evening. So, Distressed Denim. This is Savage Attack like 102. Distressed Denim, you got a gray undervisor. You got that metallic blue-gray F with those red bloody slash marks through the front. That little G on the side, little paw. Gray under. This thing is amazing, guys. You're not going to believe the quality of Distressed Denim. I was not a believer at first until I got these things in. I was like, oh my God, these are some of the best quality hats I've seen in terms of construction. So this is the Fresno Grizzlies Distressed Denim. This will be dropping this evening. We will pause the show to let you know when it goes live on the website, and it won't be very long. For some of you guys, I got to get to bed kind of early. So this one will be dropping tonight. Now, I did want to give one plug to Pat, my buddy Pat, and these are not American drops. I want to be clear because first of all, he got this one in before the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs said this logo can no longer be used. So this will be coming to Topper Store Europe very soon. So look at this bacon lover's dream.
It's a Spanish bacon.
So Pat and I had put one together for the U.S., and then the Lehigh Valley Iron Pig said, hey, guys, not so fast. This logo is no longer able to be used. But
damn,
get this one from Topper Store Europe. And then for those that don't know, you all know I'm a huge Boston Red Sox fan. We've got an American version coming, but this is the European version. So this is a nice, clean Boston hat with something that's iconic to all Boston Red Sox fans. I've sat in traffic looking at this sign, the Sitco sign, many a time. So I've also seen Manny Ramirez hit him into the lights around there. So this is coming to Topper Store Europe as well. I just want to show these two off. A little care package came from Pat today, and I want to make sure I showed these off. So that's Topper Store Europe. Now, tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're going to have the Vault Club exclusive preview of Topper Store USA hats, 3 p.m. So for Vault Club members, prepare for 3 p.m. tomorrow and get your invoice requests in. That's another loaded video. So that's really it, though, guys. That's what I have for Topper Store today. We'll get into the hats we're wearing, and we can keep me out of the poll today, but we'll go through and we'll show our hats. You guys ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's do it.
What up, everybody? I need a haircut, man. Two-tone New York Mets. Nice metallic Kelly green UV. Eat your vegetables. It helps a lot. Todd, excited to have you on the show.
Oh, so good to be here. Thank you.
Well, why don't you talk about what the hat's hooked to, though?
Which one is this? I have it in my notes.
It looks like a Dragon Ball Z.
No, it's a boxer.
No, oh no, this is not the Pacquiao.
Oh, it's not the Pacquiao.
This is not the Pacquiao.
Oh, that's just the Filipino hat.
So the Pacquiao is with exclusive. This one is Brooklyn.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It looks like it's a Pacquiao.
I know, right? It could be.
I'm wearing one of Todd's logos. I pay attention to things like that. final season. Yeah, Rangers to Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the White Ranger from Hat
Nice.
Range.
Nice.
All right. I got a pretty clean Raiders hat. Super Bowl.
I can tell you Todd didn't do that patch because that patch sucks.
Yeah, that one also is from like 1975. So
I was -2 when that cat patch came out.
I was alive, but not a professional.
What are you
What
wearing,
you got?
Todd?
So I've got a Ty Mathis Kansas City Monarchs Negro Leagues cap.
Yeah.
Got a nice little patch on there. I love what he does with metallic thread. Just everything is always very clean. This is one of my go-tos. Great logo, nice colorway, just beautiful, clean UV. So it fits well and always gets good comments.
Nice.
This is what I'm wearing today. So this is the Topper Store USA version of the cap. So Pat had one drop in Europe. This one is ours in the US. This has got a purple crown, a tonal camo visor. You've got that. That's a great Arizona Diamondbacks logo.
Yeah.
And we opted not to use the inaugural season patch. We wanted to use the regular Arizona Diamondbacks side patch you'd see on their jerseys, gray under. This thing is super clean. This will be one of the hats on the preview video tomorrow. So if you're looking for this one, you'll be able to ask for an invoice tomorrow. Yeah, and that's it. Let me show one hat that just came in today. Is that okay?
Of course.
Since Todd's such a baseball fan, I want to ask Todd a question.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, the Bash Brothers. So for those that don't know, the Bash Brothers, Jose Canseco and Mark McGwire, ushered in an era of baseball that is almost unforgettable, infamous to some. To me, it was the most exciting era of baseball. Whether you like steroids or not, man, I mean, it saved baseball. Steroids saved baseball for a brief period of time. But the Bash Brothers, I wanted to unleash this logo. And we got the Oakland on the side. Mark McGwire and Jose Canseco would be proud. So this is not in the preview video tomorrow. This is a ways away. But I did want to kind of show something that came in the order today.
I love it. And
Yeah,
with the A's leaving Oakland after all this glorious history and the Bash Brothers, what a, just massive, like 1988, 89 World Series to get to the 90 World Series. Just remember that poster with those guys. You're right. And Jose Canseco has a very lively social media feed for those that might be interested.
Yeah. 1 second, Snap. I just want to kind of finish this part, right? So for me, like, I understand like the hatred of steroids, and I get it, right? And it kind of the integrity of the game and whatnot. But in all honesty, like, if steroids didn't infiltrate the game may be a lot different now. It really did create a ton of excitement with that Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa sort of home run chase and whatnot. Whether it was injected with steroids or not, it did really help baseball. And the reason why we put the Oakland side on there, guys, is because that's not going to be able to be used pretty soon. So I want to get an Oakland side patch on there to make it even more nostalgic and rare. So that's it. So that's what I wanted to show. Now let's get into it with Todd. What were you going to say, Snap, before I start?
Todd has this voice of like a fucking baseball announcer. Top of the inning.
I do the ESPN Baseball Tonight podcast every week, Fridays, with Buster Olney. I've done this for 10 years. Do a certain amount of media stuff. And so, yeah, I got it. But thank you for recognizing it.
You do. You got like this fucking sex operator voice.
I love it.
Well, I'll tell you, Todd, he's not a baseball fan, so he'd never listen to this podcast. But, me, that's right up my fucking alley. So,
yeah.
But listen, Todd, guys, just so you know, the reason why we're late is because I was just talking baseball with Todd and just kind of like, man, I love when we could talk about I love when I have a guy across from me that I could just talk baseball about and just gets it, man. I appreciate that about you. Now, Todd, let's get into it a little bit. So tell us, just like, for those that don't know you, tell us a little bit about yourself. I'd love to hear about you.
So, the core of what I have built my career around is the fact that I am a designer who's been working in professional sports for more than 30 years now, designing logos, team uniforms, whole leagues, logos for special anniversaries. We can get into the granular stuff. But I am also a writer and an author. I've got 2 books out. I do media stuff. I do a lot of stuff. But again, it all revolves around the fact that I've been designing for sports starting at a time where it was really new. There was nobody doing this back in the early 90s. And there's a couple of stories that revolve around that. But those are the basics.
Wait a minute, Todd. So how did you get your first chance? Who gave you your first chance to do a logo in a high scale level like Major League Baseball?
Yeah, so it's an interesting question. And like I said, it all starts in the very early 90s. So this is this moment where, hard as it is to believe right now, MLB, NBA, and NHL did not have in-house creative departments. Licensing, the use of logos on stuff, apparel, stuff that we love, really exploded in the late 80s and very early 90s. And there's a couple of reasons for this. The NFL had been way ahead of the curve with this kind of thing, but these leagues were kind of leaving money on the table for years and years and years. And in this era, there are new teams coming on board in each of these leagues. So you've got the Marlins and the Rockies joining Major League Baseball in 1993. You've got 6 NBA teams coming online in several years in the late 80s, early 90s. Same kind of situation with the NHL, a couple of new teams in the NFL, and you've got teams moving. And at the same time, stuff is selling. People are fascinated with hats and shirts and minor league logos. And you combine that with kind of the rise of streetwear and popular culture entering the conversation. The fact that you've got Eazy-E wearing a White Sox logo, not because Eazy-E was a White Sox fan living in Compton in the late 80s, very, very early 90s, but it's just great fashion. And it all converges, right place, right time. So to answer your question, I was pretty young. I was just out of college. I was working in book publishing at the time, designing book covers, but always loved sports, always looked at sports and uniform design and cap designs from a little bit of a different perspective. I come from a family of artists, right? So that really informs everything that I was then and still am today, all these years later. And I had heard about the fact that MLB was opening their first in-house creative services department. I read about this. So in a magazine. So back in those days, it's shortly before computerization, you had a portfolio, and literally it's a box with printed samples in it, right? And you would drop off your work. You'd call, I'm just kind of spitball, you'd call an advertising agency or a book publisher, or in this case, Major League Baseball. And they'd say, all right, drop your stuff off on Thursday mornings, anytime before 10, pick the thing up anytime after 5:30. I'm just paraphrasing. And you'd usually find a note in there at the end of the day that says, thank you for dropping your stuff off. If there's any opportunities, we'll call you. Long story short, 1991, I did this at Major League Baseball. And the note inside said, why don't you call us? We think we could do some business together.
Nice.
And here we are.
Nice.
That's how it started. Just cold calling.
That's awesome. So Todd, tell me a little bit about, like, what's it feel like, man? So you're walking around, you're watching shows like this, and you're constantly seeing. Wait 1 second, Todd. We have to pause for 1 second. Patrick, thank you so much. We appreciate your patronage and welcome to the club. You're like, remember, we're in the 320, 330, somewhere around there. So thank you so much. We appreciate the support. And you look forward to the video tomorrow, Pat. That'll be your first introduction to the Views from the Vault Club. So thank you. So my question was, Todd, what's it feel like? You know, you're watching our show, you see the side, all this stuff that you've done, you've worked on. You're walking down the street, you see it on people's hats. Like, what's that feel like for you, man?
Well, Pierre, I mean, part of it is, you know, listen, I've been doing this a long time, and I see logos that I've long forgotten about, almost revived and recolored and appreciated by an entirely new generation of people who were, in many cases, not even born when I did this stuff, right?
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like the breadth of it is unimaginable. I'm still, you know, I still feel like a little kid when I see something out there and new, especially in like a weird context. I have a friend of mine who texted me earlier today from Peru, and he sees a guy with, I did the Jackie Robinson 50th anniversary logo back in 1997. That's a long time ago. So he shoots me an picture he took of this guy wearing a modern cap with that logo on the side. I'm like, holy crap, that's 27 years ago. So it's incredible. It's been a long road. I'm very gratified. As I said earlier to you guys, it is humbling and great to be able to do what you love to do, but to have been able to do this for so many years and still have it in me. Like I said, it's deep and it's got a lot of breadth. So it's cool.
Todd, one second, Snap. Before I ask the next question, right, Todd, I do want to make sure that everyone understands too. I met Todd in person out in Jamaica, Queens when Lids HD opened. And I want to say the one thing that really stood out for me was the humility. So like there's so much stuff that Todd's been a part of or created, right? And you're sitting there talking to him. And I'm talking sports with him and just like, listen, this is a grounded guy that's grounded in humility, man. And I got to tell you, that's what struck me most was that. But I got to ask one other question that kind of connects to the other one. And really quick, it's more about like, without being specific, is there ever a time you see someone utilize your work and you're like, what the fuck?
Oh yeah, no, it happens. It happens. And I will say not often because I think, listen, part of designing all these logos that we're talking about in their original form, listen, a lot of them were meant to be kind of like they come and go. They're kind of like comets shooting through the air. Some anniversary logo that was going to be used once in 1994. All of a sudden, all these years later, here we are, and it's back. So to see it maybe recolored in a way that I might not have done, again, it's kind of like, wow, this is really cool. It's back. And I will say this, Pierre, being a creative person, and I think, there are probably a lot of people on with us right now who can understand this. It's humbling because, it's not brain surgery, right? You do it one way. And if you're a brain surgeon, you do it wrong, you're going to kill the patient, right? The creative life, as I call it, is, your successes or whatever success you've got is usually built upon a small mountain of failures or maybe a big one. Oh, yeah. So it's all cool. And, things come and go and we're on to the next thing.
Well, I'm like a level 2 compared to your level 10, man. So for me, it's really when I see someone enjoy something that like, that we put together at Top Restore USA, it feels so good. I can only imagine what it feels like when you're doing it. I mean, one of the things that really stands out to me is I have this thing, right? Like there's two things that really bother me. And it's really messing with the Jackie Robinson patch. I can't stand it for some reason. There's something about it that just bothers me, messing with it too much. I saw one done that was really nice. It was done in a Kansas City Monarchs colorway, which made a lot of sense to me. But some of it, this one I don't toy with, right? But how do you feel about these mismatch patches? So let's say you got a Red Sox hat, right? And you put like a, I don't know, man, like a Cubs World 1990 Cubs World. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, sometimes it doesn't make sense. So, part of what I am, I also will tell you guys something you probably don't know. For the last 30 some odd years, I have redrawn and researched and maintained the archive of Cooperstown collection logos for MLB, all these side patches. So being into the history of it, you can get a little anal and say like, geez, you've got a 1935 Red Sox B and you've got a 1967 Cooperstown collection patch that I designed in 1993.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell is this? But I'm constantly mindful of the fact that I'm just going to say this. We live in this world right now in a social media environment in particular where things kind of come and go and we're on to the next thing in 15 minutes. So there are a lot more serious issues for me to be focusing on than something like that. I think that's kind of like what I come back to it. And there are these bizarre experiments that sometimes, it's like this rocket ship that goes up and fails and, comes back down to earth.
Todd, what did you think about when you heard about hooks on hats? Like, let's say, for instance, you said they put this towards Kanye West or Selena or Pokemon. What was your thoughts when you saw that happening?
It's incredibly creative. I mean, my whole life has been devoted to creativity. And that's a very creative concept. And I mean, you know, you think about storytelling. Storytelling is kind of like the imperative of our times. But like my wife always says, you know, people have been telling stories since they were writing, you know, on cave walls 35,000 years ago. So we're just doing it in different form. And that's a particularly cool form. It's really awesome.
That's nice. So Todd, let's talk a little bit. Let's get, we'll wrap up in the next like 5 minutes or so. You know, but I do want to ask you, like, what were your favorite things that you've worked on so far? Like, I know it's a long, illustrious career, but think about some of the things that you really loved working on, the things that are just amazing to you.
It's a good question, Pierre, and I'll throw a couple out there. So again, you know, at this point in my life and my career, to have had this lengthy, you know, track record is important to me, and I always feel like I'll tell like younger designers in particular, like curate your life, curate your career, be careful of, you know, all this stuff. So the Jackie Robinson 50th that you mentioned, it's not the greatest piece of design I ever did, but it was applied to so many things, and it's kind of stood the test of time. 25 years later, I was asked to do the 75th anniversary of Jackie Robinson, and I partnered up with a very dear friend of mine, Britt Davis in Atlanta. Look her up if you don't know her. But, you know, just generationally, we're different people, all this stuff. What a great collaboration. So those are kind of like bookends. I've done Super Bowl logos. I've got behind my monitor here in my office, I've got all these sleeve patches here that I've done on a bulletin board. So, you know, I did the Washington Nationals when the Montreal Expos moved to Washington, did that in 2 weeks, part of in a hotel room at the World Series in Boston in 2004, right? Just kind of like epic moment in time, but creating something from scratch is really kind of a different kind of challenge. You know, there's no history there. We've got a blank canvas. Couple of other ones, you know, a lot. I love the history, as I said, a lot of 40th, 50th anniversary logos, 30th anniversary logos, Tiger Stadium, 1999, final year Tiger Stadium, Busch Stadium, St. Louis, 2006, just looking around the room, riffing. Wow. Here's one cool thing that's not necessarily the most mainstream thing, and it doesn't necessarily speak to what we are all about in the headwear world, but I work with Ice Cube on his Big Three basketball league. And in that case, it was creating an entire league from scratch, 12 teams.
We're going to show that.
Yeah. So it's kind of like a very unique collaboration and challenge.
Not to outshine you, Todd, I'm responsible for the McDonald's logo, IBM, Apple.
The arches. You're KFC, the arches?
KFC. Yeah. Domino's.
So Todd, was there anything that, like, you think back to now? Because you talked a little bit about kind of like being like kind of the gatekeeper of your own world, right? Like what you allow yourself to do, or what you know, is there anything that you said no to that you'd be like, you know what, maybe I should have done that? Is there anything you regret saying no to?
No, not really. I mean, there were a couple of instances where you could smell from a mile away that this was kind of a janky operation, not in major league sports necessarily. But I had one situation several years ago with somebody building a new league who I'm just like, I'm not buying it. There's no fucking way that you've got money, kind of a thing. This kind of thing. But, you know, by and large, you work with big leagues and actual teams, and, you know, it's all going to be good. I will say I worked on something really interesting in the past year, which was incredibly immersive. I teamed up with a friend of mine, and we rebranded a Korean pro baseball team, right? Wow. And the really cool thing about that, guys, a couple of things. I mean, it's baseball, so it's this very familiar thing. I've designed 8 million logos for professional baseball teams, but throw this all out the window because it's an entirely different culture. And certainly going to Korea twice in the last year, they don't have a headwear culture there, which I thought was unbelievable. They're incredibly stylish people. They lead the world, I think, in fashion in many, many ways. And they're all about the jerseys, but headwear, nope.
I guess they're not suffering from male pattern baldness.
Well, it was explained to me that if you see somebody walking around a mall with a baseball cap, it means they didn't wash their hair yesterday. So this is a big market. We got to do something about this. So anyway, it was a really cool project to be involved with because it was I don't know if it's a bucket list thing, but it really involved me kind of rethinking things and throwing a lot of preconceived notions out the window.
Well, you also have to connect with the cultures, right, to understand the cultures better. Because right. You don't want to go in there and being culture blind and start creating things that may not connect right, or you may offend somebody. I mean, there's a lot of different components to something like that. And,
totally. You know, and if you bring it back to a little more, bring it back here to the U.S., well, I always say that like designing a logo for Derek Jeter's retirement is,
man, don't get me started on that.
Well, see, but like, you got to speak to Yankees fans in a way that Kansas City Royals fans are very different, or Colorado Rockies fans, or, Minneapolis is a very different place from Houston, whatever that is. Getting into it, doing the research, kind of getting under the hood and getting into people's brains, if it's at all possible, and seeing what people in individual places connect with is a really cool challenge, and I enjoy it.
Yeah, and I'm going to hand it off to these guys for one more burning question before I wrap up, right, Todd? But I have to ask you one question, and this is for the baseball lover in me, right? What is your most important baseball moment, since you've lived through so much in terms of the sports world and baseball specifically? I want to know your signature baseball moment, and then I'm going to see if it matches up with mine.
As a fan?
Yeah, as a fan.
Well, Pierre, you and I are both Boston Red Sox fans, and I kept the faith. I'm a native New Yorker. I grew up in Yonkers, 7 miles, like we said before, north of Yankee Stadium. I had a girlfriend in 1986 who was a Mets fan, Whitestone, right? Saw them. Where I'm going with this.
I know.
I will tell you right now, on October 27th, 2004, I'm in St. Louis, Missouri, and I am watching the curse wick away, the alleged curse.
Yeah.
And you know what? So you can see, right over here, there's a baseball on my wall, right?
Yeah.
See that little thing on the wall? It's in a little case. I'm in the upper deck above the St. Louis Cardinals bullpen. Jason Isringhausen, St. Louis Cardinals, comes into the game. He throws this ball up. I'm a righty. I reach about 25 feet to my left. I'm exaggerating, with my left hand, and I get this baseball, and that's it. So that's my moment. What about you?
All right, so I got to preface it. 2 terrible moments, right? I was only 9 years old, and I got my first taste of what it was like being a Red Sox fan when I watched the ball go through Bill Buckner's legs in 1986.
Yeah.
Okay, that's that. But the second worst moment was in 2003. I was watching the game at home. I had just my wife at the time was pregnant with my first child. I'm watching the game. It comes back from commercial break just a little bit late, and all I see is the end of a Wakefield pitch getting blasted into left field, and ending what I thought was going to be the Red Sox year where they were going to win the World Series.
Yep.
And then obviously my favorite moment, though, is when they won the World Series. But there was this in Game 4 of the ALCS against the Yankees. And they ended up winning that game in extra innings. That's when I was, unlike most people, I believed they were going to win that series at that point. I felt the shift.
I'm going to tell you right now, I was at Game 3 of that ALCS at Fenway Park, and they got their asses kicked 19-8, and I stayed until the final pitch. And I stayed at a hotel. And I just remember being in the T on the subway and hearing people dropping F-bombs and saying, like, why do I do this to myself? Why do I invest my time? And a week later, I'm at Game 7 at Yankee Stadium. They overthrow the Yankees. Red Sox fans are just – any Yankees fans who are listening, I'm sorry to bring up bad memories, but I'm not sorry. It represented this change in the culture. And listen, I went to a couple of games at Fenway in 2007. I was at Fenway for the winning Game 6 of the World Series in 2013, and I was in LA in 2018. I never thought I'd see one of these, much less 4, much less be there for the last out for 4. So it is, we live and die, but we're into the fashion part too, and they can mix and mingle together.
Absolutely. So before I hand it over to these guys, right, I just want everyone to know in a couple of minutes, the hat is going to drop on Topper Store USA. So I don't want to interrupt the questions that are about to be asked. So as you guys know, Leon, if you could put that link in the chat when it does go live, that would be great. There will be a link in the chat, guys, to go and pick up your Fresno Grizzlies distressed denim that'll be releasing. That one's going to move fast, so I would grab that. If I would get on that if you guys go on a different tablet or phone or whatever and order it there while you're listening. So what I'd like to do is hand it off to you guys for a last question or two, and then we'll show off some of Todd's work. And then we're going to get into the show, and we may breeze through a couple of stores this week just to make sure that we don't keep Todd on too late and keep us up too late. I'm getting old, man. I'm fucking almost 50. So we got to make sure that I get my sleep in. So let's do this. Let's start with you, Mexi. What sorts of questions do you have for Todd?
All right, Todd, I got 2 questions for you, okay? So one of them is baseball related. You kind of told us how in the beginning, you alluded to how you basically – in your childhood, brushed through the minors and T-ball, and then peaked really when you were playing Pee-wee, right? You look like somebody who took the original steroids, the Flintstone gummies. So let me ask you, do you remember your stats of the best year you had in Little League?
I don't, but I do have this great picture of me in like 1970, long before any of you were born. And I'm wearing the uniform well, and I got the cap on, and the bat looks good. So, it look good, play good. Well, I look good. I don't know what the stats were, but I know I look good, and it's documented.
There.
That's beautiful.
So thank you. And the second question, it would not be the teacher in me to ask this type of question because you are the second successful person who made a career with art, right? The first person I got was my former co-worker who also was an artist, got into digital media, and that really elevated her career. And you said that you come from a family of artists.
Yep.
So what piece of advice would you give to younger artists, but also young parents who may not really have grown up with the fact that you can be successful and financially stable with art in some form?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's something that's dear to my heart because, again, having grown up in this creative family, in so many ways, it's not like I had a leg up that somebody's going to give me a job, but I'm always mindful of the fact that I'm lucky because it was never necessarily encouraged to go into a career in creativity, but it was never discouraged. And there are certainly a lot of people who don't have that experience. You got to have a practical job. You got to make money, go to business school, whatever you're going to do. So I think that to answer your question, just exposing kids to art, which I've done with my own, when they were little, taking to museums, doesn't have to be expensive. Looking around, being intellectually curious is what I would say. Reading books, taking a walk and looking up and getting out of our devices, which we're all guilty of. I think those are all little things, but when you're raising kids, I just think taking your kids to the Met in New York or something like this it was so valuable to me as a kid. I remember my grandfather taking me to museums. Like I said, it just informs so much because it speaks to history and beauty. And sometimes we could have beauty for the sake of beauty, just looking at stuff and learning about all this stuff. I could go on, but that's pretty much it.
Great questions, Mexi, and thank you, Todd. We'll move on to Leon, and then we're going to end with Snap. Leon, what do you got?
Yeah, we're kind of blessed in that we get to see a lot of your work as it's finished and get to enjoy all that. But were there any logos that didn't make it? I know sometimes you post process pictures or different options or whatever. Are there any logos that kind of stick out that you wish the team would have went with? Or
oh yeah, there's a mountain of little failures to your point. And something I alluded to just a little while ago. Sometimes stuff doesn't get out of the box. There are a couple of All-Star Game logos, for instance, for MLB that just never saw the light of day, and somebody else wound up doing it. Generally speaking, though, you are going to get contracted, you're going to get hired to do a job, and you're going to see this whole thing through. But there are on occasion what we would call bake-offs, right? Where you're getting paid a certain amount, but you're going up against a couple of other people, and somebody else is going to get that. So yeah, I mean, there's some weird ones and things that just never happened. I had one today, as a matter of fact, which I can't talk about, but it was an event that's not going to happen, and maybe it will in the future. But the uniforms are going to look dope. The logo for the event is going to look dope, and maybe it'll happen someday. But yeah, there's a certain amount of that for sure.
All right, thank you, Leon. Appreciate that. Now, Snap, let's bring it home. Snap, what questions do you have?
All right. I'm a creator just like you, right? Now, you're doing this over so many years. You probably have a formula or a ritual or routine that you do when you go to logos. Yeah. So what I want to know is, you get a job, you're starting from scratch. What gets you in the mood? Do you lower the lights? Do you play certain music? Do you drink something? Do you eat something? What is your ritual when it comes to making a logo?
It starts out with sketches. It starts out with like doodling, like just putting pen to paper. If you've got time, you know this. It doesn't always work that way. Sometimes you just got to like dive right into the deep end of the pool, right? But the kind of in the mood thing is I work pretty regular hours. I don't, especially at this point in my life, I'm not putting in 70-hour weeks anymore. But I want to get up here at 9 o'clock in my little office, and I got my coffee. And if I'm gonna like just get into it, maybe I'll put on music, maybe I'm not. But I just want to I want to dive in and feel a pen in my hand if possible, or even like the iPad with the iPencil. It's the same thing, right? It's the same thing. I just want to feel a tactile experience, and kind of like, it must be like a musician warming up a little bit, right? And then you could just go like this, and like you are ready. And you got to rely upon your instincts too. I think that's a huge part of it. But it's a great question, and it's consistently always been that way for me.
Nice. My last question, real quick, it's going to be a fast one. You know how we have a hack community, right?
Oh yeah.
And we all banter and talk the shit with each other.
Yeah.
Is there a logo maker community?
There is, actually. There really is. Yeah. And it's funny you say this, and I'm not going to name names, but I got a couple of friends who are sports logo people, and just about everybody's younger than me these days. All right. And I wear that like a badge of honor. Pierre, I see you over there, and I'm older than you. But anyway, we've got this like running text thread that I have Mean Girls thread. It's like Mean Girls, right? So, but anyway, but we'll talk shit. But by and large, it's a very generous community. There are always really young people who are looking to get into it. And like, I live in Philly. I live right here in the city. Fairly new here, 2 years, but I'm always having coffee with some younger designer, and like, just I want to get in there and just shoot the shit and do it. So to answer your question, the logo designer community are people like veterans like myself. These people have known each other for 30 some odd years. I'm going to tell you just one quick story, because I know we got to move it along.
No, you're good, man. You're good.
But I always say, like, if we had a logo designer convention in sports back in, 1991 or 1992, you could do it at like, a couple of like a high top at a bar with like 4 seats, right? And it would be 4 guys, all my age, white guys, right? Now, if you were going to do this, and there actually has been, sports designer conferences, it's incredibly diverse in every conceivable sense. People of ages, color, like everything, right? And so to see it grow like this is just unbelievable.
Nice.
Yeah.
And that diversity, right? What people don't understand about the most important thing about diversity is coming from different backgrounds, and then all of these different things that kind of come to fruition from that diversity is incredible. I sat down with a major hat company, and they sat in front of me, and they were asking me some questions before I was affiliated with Topper Store and that sort of thing. And I was just a regular guy collecting hats and doing this podcast, right? And the entire group of people in front of me from that organization was white.
Yeah.
And I was like, Jesus, I'm like, this is part of and I said it out loud, this is part of the problem. Like, if you're looking to change things up, and I love how you brought that up, because I think that diversity and kind of the change in demographic in some of these sort of fields has really spurred on so much change, and it's a different world now.
Yeah, a lot of innovation. And listen, the kind of stuff that I do and that you guys love and you collect and design and all this stuff, like we're trying to like appeal to just the broadest range of humanity out there.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are. And, you know, you got people who are hardcore sports fans who love the logos because they have this devotion to their teams. But by and large, the kind of people that, you know, in our hat community, they're you know, it's about the drip, right? They're matching their headwear, their sneakers, or whatever. They just want to look great. Maybe there's some cool logos that just are cool. I find that all the time, right? And like, you know, and like you can't pigeonhole that into a certain kind of person. No. So to blow this out and to talk to people of different ages and, you know, Pierre, I mean, you nailed it. You got it. You get, it's like this great meal that comes from all these different cultures and stuff.
Oh, 100%. Did you just one? I forgot to ask this, but did you have anything to do with They Gave Us Game?
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
That was probably the most. Well, it wasn't done on New Era, right?
No,
that
it was
one
not.
of my favorite collections of hats because of the diversity of Negro League logos that I saw, and it was an amazing. I don't know if you guys remember this. They Gave Us Game.
Mm-hmm. We had a bunch of them.
It was incredible, and I want to say to you, man, that was some fantastic work.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. I had nothing to do with the design of that, but I was involved in just being an influencer. Flew out to the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum in Kansas City and talked to Bob Kendrick, who I've known for almost 30 years now. Right? I mean, I saw him a couple of weeks ago, and you know, the story of the Negro Leagues is the story of America in a lot of ways. I mean, we get all historic, but you know, the logos, the real logos, were just incredibly simple because this was this league that's, you know, running on a shoestring, and there's nothing being designed and sold at that time, right? There's no licensing. There's no, right? So the look of it is just so pure and honest and cool, and they executed that great. It was Black Fives, which is the story of early.
The Black Fives was impressive too because it opened eyes. People didn't even know what that was.
Totally, yeah. And the stories are amazing. The team names and how they put this stuff together. It's just like, it's eye opening because it was kind of like, boom! It's like a 2x4 upside your head. You don't know anything about it. So anyway, it was an awesome program. The stuff was really just cool. The hats were very, very well made. Just all of it. It was a cool thing to be involved with.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So listen, Todd, thank you so much for answering all those questions. Now we're going to show a little bit of Todd's work, right?
Yeah, we got about 4 or 5 slides of it.
Awesome. Yeah. We got a lot in here. A lot of stuff in here.
Yeah, take it in, guys. I mean, there's some fantastic stuff here. And you know what I'll do? If you can get these to me, Snap, the pictures.
Yeah.
I'm going to put them on the Instagram and just kind of put them up there for people to peruse through because there's some incredible stuff here.
Thank you.
All right. So for this slide, Snap, give me your 2 favorites.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to know. All right. My favorites, because I see my favorite strip club in there, Magic City, Atlanta Braves. Boom. There it is.
Doing it.
That logo was fire.
Yeah.
And my second logo that I'm going to pick, the 50th New York Mets, baby. That is an amazing logo.
All right. So, Todd, each slide, if you're comfortable with it, I want you to give me your favorite.
Yeah. Well, favorites. I got to look over these. It's like, you know, these are all my children, but some are better.
Well, you're gonna pick a favorite child on each slide for us if you can.
Yeah. All right. So Mets 50th and is one of them, and I'm going to tell you why. You know, first game I ever went to as a kid was at Shea Stadium. I grew up, you know, knowing what the Mets are, and this is an example of a logo that I am always very vocal about. That, you know what? Sometimes it's a good thing to just be careful about not overdoing it. Right? Exercising restraint. Too many ingredients in a meal makes it suck. Too many notes in a song makes it just a din of noise. The Mets 50th is all about communicating this simple message. It's clearly a Mets logo, but it's got gold. It feels special. It's a golden anniversary. It doesn't even say Mets. It has the NY in there, which is really important. It's in a home plate, so it says this is our home. So it does a lot with a little, is what I would say.
Damn, that's a cool breakdown. So it's like NY, this is our home.
Yeah.
I like that. I like the logo even better now.
Yeah, and so it does a lot with a little. And I'll give you one more with maybe a little insight, which is really kind of funny. So that Astros 50th in the lower right-hand corner, it features, the complete opposite. It's got the kitchen sink in there.
Oh, yeah. It's got every era in there. You got every era in there.
It's exactly right. So the Astros started out life as the Houston Colt 45s. Great hat, just very simple 0.45 S in orange on blue. So the 5-0 in the middle is based on that 45s. You got their lettering from their second set of uniforms. That says Astros. You got the rainbow stripes, the iconic, often imitated, never duplicated tequila sunrise, right? Nobody else looks like that. You got the shooting comet thing going through the 0. And you've got what was then the primary logo, the broken star at the bottom. So 10 pounds of merda in a 5-pound bag.
Listen, man, that's fucking beautiful.
Yeah.
No, it is, man. That's the perfect side patch in terms of you've got everything in there for that 50-year time period. That's fucking amazing.
It's got a little something for everybody, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
And it makes sense when you hear it broken down like that, right?
Yeah.
You understand how important and how complete that side patch is. So for each one of these slides, I'm going to give you one that I haven't seen before that I fucking love, and it's the 1991 Minnesota Twins Kirby Puckett looking era sort of.
Yeah.
Is that a championship ring?
So yeah, it's
I'm looking at the one on the right.
Oh, well, there are two of them. Yep. So you got the 87 Twins, which is in the same row, third from the left, and you got the one on the right. And so here's the thing, and I don't know if everybody knows it, but the World Series trophy has changed over the years. There are all those little flags on there, and the number of flags corresponds with the number of teams in Major League Baseball. The trophy has changed. So that reflects the 1991 trophy. There's a lot of information in there. I mean, there's a lot of words. So again, distilling this down to something that's recognizable. They use this primarily in the ballpark. This is, like on the outfield walls and stuff. And then the same thing goes with that Twins logo, third, just to the left, third from left in that center row, honoring the 87. A lot of words, championship rings. Done a lot of work for the Twins over the years. They are very, how can I put it, design savvy. They have
one of the best portfolios of side patches that I've ever seen.
Yeah, and I'm honored to have done a bunch of them. And as you can say, 50th and 60th upper right, 50th on just to the right of that, second from right. Yeah. And it's interesting. You guys probably know this. They wore that 50th as a sleeve patch only on the road because it's the first year of Target Field. I did that patch too. So they just had a lot going on that year.
All right. So we'll take a look at the next slide though, Snap, if we could. And Todd, as we move to the next slide, right? Who's your favorite non-Red Sox player?
Favorite non-Red Sox player?
Yeah, of all time.
I don't even know if I have one. I live here in Philly these days, so I am partial to the Phillies in that respect. But player, I couldn't tell you. They're neutral territory.
See, for me, when I was younger, I liked Kirby Puckett so much. I don't know what it was about Kirby. I loved him.
Yeah, and generationally, that's it. Like, I grew up in the 70s, so entirely different cast of characters for sure.
Yeah. All right. So Leon, give me your two favorites from this one.
Ooh. This is cool because there's some.
This is Twins heavy, man. We've seen like 5-6 Twins already. That's awesome.
Yeah. I'm gonna pick that Safe Call 10th anniversary. I've never even seen that one.
Yeah.
And then the 20th Hammond Stadium.
Yeah, that's your spring training stadium.
Oh man, that's beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, really nice. This is more great work. What's one that stands out to you here, Todd, that you'd want to tell us a story behind before we move on to the next slide?
So I got a couple of things, again, you, me, Pierre, we're Red Sox fans. So that 90th anniversary of Fenway stands out more than anything because it was on the left field wall for the entire season in 2002, which is like the coolest thing. It's in this iconic place, right? Yeah. So that's a big one. And I got to say, we hate the Yankees, but Yankee Stadium is a place that is near and dear to my heart. I went to hundreds of games at the old stadium. So doing that and doing the inaugural season one that's immediately to its right, we're very special. And I'll throw in one more as long as we're in New York. that Shea Stadium logo, third from right at top, which is still commemorated at Citi Field. It's out there. So it's still getting the love today. Again, this is one of these ones that was designed to be used for 1 year, one and out, but it kind of endures in ways that I couldn't have imagined when I did it. So it's kind of cool. And again, first game I ever went to as a kid with my dad was at Shea. So special.
I love this shit.
Todd, is there a logo on here that was difficult, like that just kicked your ass and you was like, woof, got it done?
Maybe like every one of them. No, I'll give you a couple though. So Globe Life Field, the current Texas Ranger Stadium, bottom row where it says inaugural season, that was worn on the field. You cannot say Globe Life Field. You have to have inaugural season because it becomes another advertisement. So, quite often I have worked on stadium art like this where I'm just looking at renderings because the place isn't, it's not finished. And so imagining what this place is going to look like based on renderings is very, very different from, doing something like Yankee Stadium, which what it looks like. There's a lot of reference. You've got your own personal, hopefully, sense of place and all that. But that was a tough one.
Nice. So listen, we're going to move to the next slide, right? And everyone out there, let's hit that like button. And I want everyone to give Todd a 1 in the chat for thanking him for coming on tonight and going through this with us. So let's hit that like button, everybody. Let's get it to like 150 likes, and let's throw 1s in the chat for a thank you to Todd for joining us this evening, because this is legendary stuff. I'm going to ask you, Mexi, what are your 2 favorites from here?
Ooh, that Jackie Robinson 50th out the top left. And you know what? Let's go. There's so many good ones. I will say the Mariano Rivera.
Ooh, okay.
The Sandman.
You know which one my favorite is?
Big Poppy?
Both of the Poppies, man. Those are fucking money. Those are money.
Which one is the Mariano Rivera? I don't know what that guy looks like.
Number 42. It says Mariano Rivera across the top.
Yep, that was his retirement one.
Yeah.
So they wore those on the caps and on their uniforms for like the last homestand of the year, his final season.
I want to thank Mariano Rivera too, because we saw him so many times. We finally figured him out, and he helped us win our 2004 World Series championship.
I got a very quick, good Mariano Rivera story for you if you got it.
Yeah, I want to hear it.
So I was called in by a very well-known fashion designer who was about to get a license with Major League Baseball to do apparel, and did eventually. So I go to the guy's place, and it's just absolute insanity. It's in the Garment District in New York, and the guy, they put me in like a holding room with all this shit piled up to the ceiling, and you can't even see out the windows. The guy comes in, he's like, listen, he says, I'm really sorry. I'll be in just give me 5 minutes. I got somebody here, and I'm sorry to keep you waiting. It was very respectful. So I'm standing there, I'm looking around the room, door opens. He comes back with Mariano Rivera, and he says, I want you to meet Todd Radom. He says, he's blah, 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 blah. All right, nice to meet you. I said, Mariano, I did your retirement logo. I did this. And he's like, oh, they're very beautiful. Thank you so much. So that's my Mariano story.
Listen, man, dude, that's an awesome story. But Mariano Rivera is such a nice guy. I met him in person, right, when I worked for Apple. And this guy came into the store in Westchester like he was just a regular guy, and he was such a fantastic human being. Him and Bernie Williams are the 2 nicest baseball players I've ever met in person.
I used to see Bernie Williams in White Plains. You probably did too.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I helped him at the Genius Bar. This was in my early Apple days. So it was amazing. Just really nice guy. Now, can I ask one other question, Todd? You're creating stuff for a legend like Hank Aaron, right? What kind of pressure is that, man? Like, you're like sitting here, you're creating something for, I mean, dude, like it's got to be a ton of pressure. I mean, somebody like Hank Aaron that meant so much to the game, and many believe to be the true home run king.
Yeah.
Like, what's that pressure feel like?
Well, you want to do somebody like that, right? You want to do something that's going to conform to the dignity of a Hank Aaron. I will say this, just, a couple of weeks ago, I was out in Texas for MLB All-Star, and for the last couple of years, I've gotten to know Jackie Robinson's granddaughter, and, she knows that, and just unbelievable person, very, wonderful person. But so to do something for a legend like Jackie Robinson, especially someone who is no longer with us, is a daunting thing for sure. So you want to get it right. You want to sweat the details. You always want to sweat the details, but you extra want to do it and just make everything as absolutely perfect and on brand as it could possibly be. You're right. You got it. You know exactly what you got to do.
Yeah, that's
do
awesome.
Do you get merch by the truckloads for all the stuff your logos are on? Like shirts, jackets, jerseys, hats.
Yeah, I got a certain amount of stuff. I moved a couple of years ago, so I offloaded a certain amount of this stuff on friends, and I just don't like to get high on my own supply, if you want to look at it that way. So I like it. Not that it's not cool, but I like. You could see this is my office over here. Like I've got some cool stuff around me and a certain amount of stuff that I might wear, but by and large, not that much stuff.
That's awesome. All right, so we got one more slide of these or no?
Yeah.
Is there how many more? Just so I know.
Two more.
All right, let's go.
Big three.
Right.
Big three. The original 8 Big Three teams, 2017. So, like I said earlier, I've got I collaborate with Ice Cube. It's been the most immersive, creative collaboration of my life. Which is going to sound funny, but I'll tell you a very quick little anecdote about Cube, and that is the fact that before he hit big as a very young man with NWA, he had to have a fallback plan, and he went to college for what I believe was 1 semester, and he went to study architectural drafting. So Cube studies architectural, and when you combine that and you think about the fact that this man has been traveling to arenas and stadiums for his entire adult life, he's got a very elevated sense of aesthetics. He knows what's going to look good in a stadium or an arena. His sense of color is very educated, well-founded, and he's just a good guy. And when we are in the middle of stuff, which right now we are like this week in the middle of stuff, we got emails, texts flying back and forth, and it is like, you got to dodge flack with it. So it's been a very cool collaboration now.
All right, so guys, let's do this really quick on this one, right? Our one favorite logo here, because I've already got I'm going to go first. Trilogy.
Oh, they're like the champions. They're like
that Trilogy. That's an amazing looking logo.
The dripping eyeball, like what is Trilogy? It's kind of like a B movie, a horror movie, right?
Fucking awesome, man.
Yeah, and when that thing gets animated, the eye blinks and the little drips drip. It's very, very cool looking.
Fucking badass.
I'm going with Killer Threes.
Okay, Mexi.
Three's Company.
Oh, you like that? You like that show too?
Yeah,
it's about right. Like,
yeah,
that was Allen Iverson's team in year 1. He was number 3.
Badass, man.
So yeah,
Leon, your favorite?
Ghost Ballers reminds me of White Chocolate.
Isn't that interesting that we all have different favorites out of this?
Yeah, and these are really interesting too because they're not associated with cities, so you really don't have anything to lean into.
Yeah, you have to kind of go
if you're designing a logo for Seattle, you're going to put a Space Needle in there or palm trees for Miami or something. Not the case here.
Todd, this is priceless shit. Everybody in the chat, right? Just write in your favorite logo here. Which one's your favorite of these logos here? Just write in the chat, guys. Your favorite logo out of all of these. And Todd, man, just fantastic work here, man. It's fucking amazing.
Thank you.
Next slide, right?
Yeah, let's go to
yeah, okay, the tickets. Yeah.
Ooh.
I miss paper tickets. I'm like, it's great to have a QR code on your phone and not have to go through all the bullshit, but the art of the ticket, even in its most modest form, is lost. And maybe I'm showing my age here, but these are really cool. Real quick, these were for the Chicago White Sox season tickets. There were 81 different designs, one for each home game, and they all told the story of the White Sox history. And the White Sox, I don't know how you guys feel, but might have the most cool, colorful visual history of any MLB teams. Think about the logos and the colors.
100%.
Yeah,
no doubt. And people don't even realize some of the colors that they incorporated over the years, like the powder blue. Like some people don't even realize that. It's like it's amazing. But these things are, dude. All right, so let's each give our favorite because I got my eyes went directly towards bottom right to the left there. That White Sox with the blue and red. That one's drew me right away. Right away.
I'm going with the Dick Allen.
All right, that's a good choice too. That one's colorful. How about you, Mexi?
Yeah, that color of that Dick Allen really just catches your eyes.
That had to be a difficult project, man. You had to do 82 of these, 81 of these.
It was a beast. It was a beast because it was also a box that contained all these things. It's a very beautiful box. It was a lot of work, a lot of research. I had a very good partner with the White Sox and their marketing guy, and they really just kept the line moving with it. But it was like running this sprint on a marathon course, right? So like 26 miles, balls to the wall, all out. But it was really cool because it was an exploration in illustration, like original illustration, typography, using some photography that they provided, thinking about, I'm designing something that needs to look like 1901.
Mm-hmm.
It's like time travel as a designer.
It's fucking crazy. Can I see, are all of them on your website? Are all of them on your website, Todd?
Not all of them. I have a select, probably like 16 or 20 on there, something like that.
Do they pay top dollar like for mint condition of these tickets and stuff? Like,
it's a good question. There is, just like there's a hat community. There's a ticket community. There's a community for everything, and these things are. I think people like them, but I just have no idea because I don't.
No, I'm sure you get these things. I'm sure PSA has a grading for these.
Yeah, you can get them graded.
Yeah, these things are crazy, man. This might be, Todd. I don't want to take away from all the great shit you've done, right? But from what I've heard so far, this project to me is probably my favorite thing I saw all night, because to get 81 unique and really consistent with the brand and the organization, that's a fucking tough thing to do, man. I couldn't imagine undertaking something like that.
Yeah, no, and it was, again, like I said before, a bear of a project, but a really interesting one because I'm not from Chicago. So again, you got to get under the hood. What is meaningful to a Chicago White Sox fan? And one of the details I thought was kind of cool too, which I'm patting myself on the back a little bit. But if you see underneath the main piece of art, you see the logo that corresponds to the era that player played in.
Yeah.
So the Carl disc in the upper left-hand corner, it's got that great, the beach blanket socks. So, it's got a lot of meaningful, loving details that I think were appreciated by people. So that's cool. I appreciate it.
Fucking great stuff. All right. So guys, listen, everyone in the chat, let's make sure we're hitting that like button. And I want everyone in the chat, please participate in this. We're gonna take this, right, Leon, and we'll copy and paste the comments and send them all to Todd when it's done. I think. Yeah. What did you appreciate most about our time with Todd tonight? This was an hour and 15 minutes well spent. I mean, this is one of my favorite episodes we've had in a year plus. I mean, this has been amazing. I want everyone in the chat to just write what was most impactful, what was most important to them in this time that we spent with Todd, because this was amazing stuff. Absolutely amazing. Thanks again, Snap, for reaching out to Todd.
One more time.
Todd, thank you so much for joining us with this, and we appreciate it. And now, everyone in the chat, you're going to write that stuff in there. Leon, we'll copy and paste that and put in one nice big document to send over to Todd.
Please.
To kind of show our appreciation. Todd, this community that we have at Views from the Vault is just absolutely amazing. It almost stays drama-free at this point. We're kind of in our own little bubble. Yeah. And we've got thousands of people that that tune in and just really enjoy the positivity of it now and kind of have evolved with us as an organization. So I want to thank you so much, Todd. Now, we got to get into the meat of the show. One second, Todd. 1 second, Snap. So we're going to get into the show, right? I'm going to take a 2-minute break, a bio break, and make sure Lola is not chewing anything downstairs. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go in a little bit more rapid fire today, but I want a lot of participation from folks in the chat. And we're going to do a lot of keep two, drop twos, and kind of like move through it nice and quick and maybe get Todd's insight if he sees a piece of his work up there. That would be fantastic. Are you guys ready to get started here?
Yes. I want to say one more thing. Todd, did you feel like I struck gold when you got the Indiana Fever WNBA logo and here comes Caitlin Clark coming to the Indiana Fever?
You know what this is? It's like buying a shirt 25 years ago that you were kind of like, okay, you get this shirt, and you never threw it away. You kept it in the back of the closet. You took it out after 25 years, and it looked like $1 million on you. But that has nothing to do with me. That has everything to do with her. So, yeah, it was kind of just like unbelievable because it's such a blast from the past. And obviously, the interest in her and her greatness elevates it. And then, that happens. But this is a really epic example of that.
How much do you know about the fucking White Sox now? You must know everything about that.
Terrible right now, Pierre. But I know more about the White Sox than probably any guy in Philadelphia. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, you know more. Listen, man, I can only imagine when you left this, you must have been brimming with information that you never had before about the Chicago.
White Sox. I can name names. I can assign numbers to those names. I can all the things. Absolutely.
Leon, I forgot to ask you too. Sorry, man, I didn't mean to cut you out of this, but what is your favorite of this?
I look at the Carlton Fisks. This reminds me a lot, like this kind of art, just the different things. Reminds me of those Topps 2020 cards we used to collect here. Remember? The baseball cards and the rookie cards. I'm kind of mad at
one of these would look great on a baseball card, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean the proportions are definitely, and it's interesting too, guys, because they took this art and they applied it to like a whole bunch of stuff. So some of these are graphics, large scale graphics in the team store, in the ballpark. They put it on like souvenir cups, right? Like if you went to a game, they put it on, they still did a printed yearbook. I'm not sure if they still do. This a couple of years ago. They did T-shirts. That Dick Allen graphic is a T-shirt, for instance. So they really like it. They wrung it dry. They made it into a bunch of different stuff.
Todd, I'm not gonna call it that, Todd, but I'm gonna do a specific pack of caps with my favorite side patches you've done. That's what I'm gonna do.
I love it.
And Pierre, I left one thing for the last for Todd, which was iconic because he just revamped a whole franchise's front logo. We gotta go to the next slide. The Angels. Boom, right there.
Yeah, the Angels were, let's think about what they looked like in the very early 2000s, late 90s. And really, that was a time when sports graphics, if you think about it, they really got busy. Like a lot of colors, a lot of outlines. And it was really a reaction to the fact that Adobe Illustrator and digital software was still new. So it's like we had this toy box and we threw the kitchen sink into everything. So the Angels was all about the Angels, I did this in 2001, came out in 2002. They win the World Series. You're very welcome. But it was all about kind of getting back to basics, simplifying, and just getting back to the core of what that team looked like. So, yeah.
Pierre, what if right after Anaheim and he sees his logo on the stadium? Like he's walking at the stadium, and here you see the Angels A on the stadium, bro.
Yeah. And that's the challenge of sports design, right? Because things need to get really tiny, like an avatar on social, and they need to be the size of a stadium or larger in some cases. So it's that scalability that really presents, I think, it's what sets sports design apart from anything else.
Was this logo after the Disney A? Is that what this was? Right after the Disney A, right?
That's correct. Yep.
Thank God. All right. So, I'm not
going to move on now.
Oh, the Mo Vaughn era?
Yeah, that's what it was. The Disney A.
Yeah, Mo Vaughn. No, you're right. Mo Vaughn, though, with the Red Sox remember he had that burnt tattoo, that burnt.
Yeah,
tattoo?
It was like a frat, like it was like a brand, like burned into it.
That dude was amazing. He was from Norwalk, Connecticut. So right around my neck of the woods.
And a very good guy.
Todd, again, thank you so much. I'm going to take a 2-minute. Are you guys going to get started here?
Yeah.
And Todd, if you need to break away at all for a couple minutes, feel free. We don't want to like hold you hostage if you have to break away for a minute or two. No problem with that. You guys ready to get started with the regular show?
No, I paid the money. He's with us until tomorrow morning.
You bought me
for $10 for this guy. I'm going to use him.
Even the legendary Todd, the Todd father, needs to take a leak. Snap. No matter how.
All right. Yeah.
So, all right, you guys ready to get started here?
Yeah. Let's do it.
All right.
TV.